Welcome to the DynastyVipers ViperCast. This is episode number 19, and we are on to week 3. Tonight we have Kelvin and Hobby and FF Intervention, Chase Vernon joining us as we take a quick peek back at week 2, and we look towards week 3 to see how we can help you. And especially this is special week 3 because we have the Beard versus the Stash going on Thursday night football. You don't want to miss our takes on that. Kelvin, what do you got, buddy?
My face has never felt so naked as it does right here next to you two gentlemen. This is, I feel like my man card's going to get taken away. Like my testosterone is lower right now. Like maybe just being around you guys long enough, by the end of this, I'll have maybe a 5 o'clock shadow or something. Maybe.
Well, as long as you shave your face and not your chest or your legs or anything, I think we can let that slide a little bit.
Aren't you getting waxed?
Well, we're still a little bit shy of the mystery number of 2,000 you threw out there. I said 5. We're still not even close to 2,000 yet, so I think I'm okay for now.
We'll get you there. We need to get this guy up to 2,000 followers at least. 5? I mean, that's an easy one. We got you.
Well, you know what? It's the first 1,000 that's always the most difficult, right? After you get to 2,000, 3,000 seems to hit pretty quick. It's a nice little chase going on there. Speaking of Chase, you're almost at 1,500. You're going to pass me here in another week or two yourself.
Come on.
Man, it's something I got to thank everybody else in the fantasy community for, especially you, Matt. You've been a huge part of that. You know, getting me out there, letting me come on your podcast from time to time. It's been a massive, massive help, of course. And, you know, it's a lot of work too. So I have a blast with it. We got a 4. I didn't even realize we have 4 podcasts in a row that are just dirty, like sick podcasts. Just fantasy football after fantasy football after fantasy football. I mean, fantasy football Wednesdays should actually be a thing. We need to turn it into a thing for real.
Yeah, I like that.
It's fantastic. It's like the day. It almost seems like the right day. And you know what? Tuesdays are off limit because I got to check out the open bar. That's my Tuesday ritual right there. So I cannot move the ViperCast to Tuesdays because I'd be too busy watching the open bar on my other screen while trying to do the show. So that's why we got to do the Wednesday. And you can, like you said, 5 o'clock. You were hitting up the airways there, and then we had the confidential going on right after that. And now this is kind of winding us down here as we go to bed. So not to mention most of our takes will probably put most people to sleep. So it's almost fitting that we're running late here tonight. So I kind of like the late night hour.
It's your sweet, sweet dulcet tones that do it for me. I mean, I'm just going to say that. Like, I find your content very exciting and intriguing, but your voice, oh my God, it's just so sexy. I just,
We've got the king of the sweet voice in the actual chat room, J Mike. And that's kind of where I try and get to. I want to get that deep, soothing, hello, ladies kind of thing going on there. Doesn't quite work for me, but we try our best here.
So, I want you to spend like an entire show one week just doing that voice. Like never break character. Stay with that voice the entire time. Like,
please do it. Please.
Challenging me.
You won't be able to.
If I did that voice all day and I had Chase's mustache, I'd probably be locked up.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I got a comment.
Like,
so I was watching Chase last night. And I commented in a thing. I'm pretty confident he was licking his caterpillar there. He was like that right there. I'm like, dude, not cool. Yeah.
It was off a play. It wasn't random. It was off of a conversation we were having. But yeah, I definitely was. And it tasted great, by the way.
It's funny you mentioned that. This flavor saver right here.
Yeah.
Oh man, I could have lunch, and by like 3 o'clock at work, I'm looking for that afternoon snack, and it's like right there still. It's like you don't miss a beat.
Oh my God, dude, this is amazing. This is what the people came for.
Well, they definitely didn't come for my football takes. I'll tell you that much. But we are going to talk a little football, if you know what I'm saying, right? Hey, Calvin, hey.
Maybe we should. I don't know. This is a week that's kind of depressing to talk about football, man. There's so much negativity, so many bad things. I feel like Sunday my phone just continued to just buzz in with bad news after bad news. So I don't know. Like maybe we should get a little injury take going here. And
well. Before we get started on the injury inventory segment, we do have to address the elephant in this room. And I know your phone was blowing up with bad news all Sunday, but how much bad news came on Monday Night Football when my Las Vegas Raiders took it to your New Orleans Saints?
You guys, look, I got something to say.
You guys had a
humble
solid
pie.
7 minutes.
But see, this is exactly what always happens to the Saints. The Saints are always the first for whatever it is. So if a team is like, it's their first game at a certain place ever in history, like if there's ever you're somewhere and they say like, who was the first team that the Buccaneers ever beat in the history of their franchise? The answer is the New Orleans Saints. Who's the first team that lost to the Las Vegas Raiders ever, with them being the Las Vegas Raiders at home? It's the Saints.
That's just, really your excuse.
They're the answer. They're the go-to. They're the seed in whatever that is.
That's the weakest thing I've ever heard. That is weak.
True.
The weakest thing you ever heard was the offensive play calling from the second quarter on.
It was bad.
I think it was every time Drew Brees tried to throw the ball. That was the weakest thing I saw Monday night.
It was painful, and I think that was the Mike Thomas not being there kind of thing. And the best part is, I sat there and I was watching the Twitter world as I'm watching the game, because quite frankly, when we get to the dingus down distance, I got a little something to say about that Monday Night Football game. But Mike Thomas went, "Oh, this is going to get ugly fast." Remember that tweet? I know you watched. You've seen that tweet. Someone had to see that tweet. He kind of threw it up there like, hey, we're going to blow the Raiders out because we're already up 10-0 or 14-0 or whatever it was. And that was all they did. And here came the Raiders. Because Michael Thomas is a pouty little you-know-who now.
Dude, the whole thing with Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas is actually kind of like a funny story, because in the whole offseason, he was sitting there talking about how, he wants to get less targets because of the fact that he didn't want to wear himself out, and how, his contract wasn't right, and how, he should be utilized more moderately instead of trying to get more, instead of trying to be the GOAT, of the wide receivers, the best receivers of all time. And instead, he just complained.
Breaking news. Breaking news. Hang on. We got some breaking news.
Oh.
Chev's working on a new article.
Is it about Mitchell Trubisky? That's what I want to know. Is it about the start to the year for Mitchell Trubisky?
So on DynastyVipers.com, you're almost guaranteed to get major play if you write about Mitchell Trubisky, Gardner Minshew, or James Robinson right now. I'll throw those guys out right away. You write an article on them, I'll put that front page right now.
Dude, I like Mitch Trubisky a lot for this upcoming week. I don't want to spoil anything, but Trubisky's going to crush it this week. Just saying. I mean, if Russell Wilson and Dak Prescott, if they could do it, like Mitchell Trubisky could easily do it. Come on.
Hey, you know what? Trubisky's looking good. He's made some plays out of the pocket. He's kept the Bears going on, which is more than we could say. I know we talked about this earlier this year we had Roberto and Chev, both Bears fans on the show, and I went to bat for Mitch Trubisky. Remember that, Calvin? I was like defending Mitch Trubisky to everybody.
You were the one.
Then again, I've also been known to just have takes opposite of everyone else, just so I could be different. Because, well, what's the fun in everyone being the same, right?
I love when your dog just goes to town on the camera behind you. It's amazing.
You were the Jamal Williams guy.
Well, he is a bit of a beastie, if you know what I'm saying.
Yep. I do know what you're saying. Except for, I think it's more acceptable for a dog than a human being to do it on a live podcast.
Yeah, probably.
Like, that's more acceptable. Yeah. I'll take it. At least he doesn't know better.
So we're going to go do a quick little injury inventory, and we've got to start at the running back position here. We got to talk about two big dogs going down. We lost Saquon Barkley for the season, and we look like we're losing McCaffrey for 6 weeks here. Everyone's going out there blowing their wad on Mike Davis, and rightfully so. Mike Davis, we're talking PPR here. I don't know if I have the numbers in front of me, but I think he caught 8 passes for the Panthers there last week when he came in for Christian McCaffrey. Calvin, you're kind of the numbers guy. You're the one paying more attention to the box score and stuff. I'm just making stuff up as I go, and hopefully you nod your head. That means I'm on to something here. But he was effective, and the Panthers want to move the ball. They want to pass the ball. Teddy Bridgewater likes those quick little dumps. I think Mike Davis is going to have flex appeal going on forward. I don't know about RB1 or RB2. He's going to have some up and down weeks there. Game script is definitely going to play a factor in it because he's not Christian McCaffrey. The Panthers aren't going to be as close to games as you'd like them to be, but he is an option out there as you look to spend that fab if you've already spent it, because most waivers are closing here in the next couple hours. And then on the flip side, you got Saquon Barkley, who's out, opening the door for Wayne Gallman. The answer is not Wayne Gallman. The answer never was Wayne Gallman, because I know you like him, Chase. I know you talked about Wayne Gallman a little bit yourself. Wayne Gallman's had his shot at that backfield, and he's failed. Dion Lewis is not the answer. Dion Lewis's role is what Dion Lewis's role is. It's a pass-catching back, and that's about it. That you may get some production out of it. And my kids will not shut up in the background. It's fantastic. But at least they're not playing Fortnite, right? And then on top of that, they just signed Devontae Freeman. You like how that was so casual, too, eh? Just kind of right back into everything. Devontae Freeman, I love Devontae Freeman. I think he found a good fit there with the Giants. What say you guys?
Go ahead, Chase.
So I'm down here with Bob over here in the comments. Bob's saying Curtis Samuel's going to take over. Curtis Samuel actually had 4 carries after Christian McCaffrey went out. So I actually really, really love Curtis Samuel. I think he's going to take a lot of the short yardage work. And I think that the air yards concept was actually kind of miscast last year with Curtis Samuel. You know, they're all talking about how, he missed all these air targets, blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, he wasn't supposed to be playing that role. They just didn't have another deep target guy that was healthy and could contribute. So now they're putting, Curtis Samuel back in the role that he was at in college, where he actually succeeded and did really well with. And I think it's going to blow up. You have Robbie Anderson going deep. You have DJ Moore in the middle of the field. And then you have Curtis Samuel taking those targets and potentially runs, especially on third downs, close to the line of scrimmage. I love Curtis Samuel. And when it comes to my Wayne Gallman take, I don't think Wayne Gallman's going to be great. I just don't get the Devontae Freeman hype, to be honest with you. Like, we are seeing these injuries because these players are not in football shape, because they did not have time to ramp up, because they did not have time to get in this preseason work, to get in this offseason work, to get in contact. And now all of a sudden we're going to see Devontae Freeman, who, by the way, hasn't played a full season in 3 straight seasons, come in after not getting any kind of offseason work whatsoever. We saw these other guys actually get some work. He didn't get any offseason work. And yeah, he could be in shape, but is he in football shape? No. So if we see him go in the first 2 or 3 games, right, he could end up coming out and getting hurt. And all of a sudden you just blew all your fab all over, somebody's face that you barely even know. That, it is what it is. And then when you talk about the potential of him actually, waiting to get in. Oh, I know, right? And then when you talk about the potential of having to wait, to actually get in, and he might have to wait 4 weeks, 5 weeks to actually be relevant. And by the way, Christian McCaffrey might be back by then. Although he does have a high ankle sprain, now you're talking about his usage getting completely destroyed. So, not a huge fan of Devontae Freeman.
What do you got up there for us, Calvin?
Matt, you mentioned Teddy Bridgewater liking those short little dumps, and definitely he's not the only one. There's definitely another guy seems to like that. But no, I honestly, I love the stats, love the data. I love digging through that kind of stuff. You guys know that. But I throw almost everything that happens out when a major player takes an injury in the middle of a game. Almost everything that happens after that, I basically, sometimes you can learn something, but most of the time, like, there is just there's a lot of noise in the midst of it. I don't expect for Mike Davis to take on the role where he's going to have 8, 10, 12 receptions. I just don't think that's quite what he's going to do. You guys, come on.
We got some great stuff going on in the comments. that we can't really say.
It's 15 minutes into this thing, and the comments are they're coming close to last week's. Last week's was pretty good.
Luke!
Oh man, it's all at my expense too, but I'll take it.
My biggest takeaways are I think it means good things for Daniel Jones. I think they're going to just pass the ball more. That honestly, there's a lot of data already that mean that like the Giants want to do that anyway. Jason Garrett's history, he wants to do that. I mean, you're going to see a lot more of that from the Giants. The Panthers are a bigger unknown, but I think probably Teddy Bridgewater gets a little bit more put on him. And yeah, maybe there's Curtis Samuel being more involved. Maybe there's Ian Thomas with some more opportunities. He's been sort of quiet to start this year. So I don't know that there's anybody in any of those backfields that I'm starting until I see something that is a little bit better.
Yeah, I want to take us onto the other side of the ball here. I want to talk about the 49ers and the Nick Bosa injury. Now, for most fantasy footballers, you don't really think about the IDP aspect of things when it comes to injuries. But now you're looking at teams like Arizona, the Rams, and that other team there, Seattle, getting to face the 49ers minus Nick Bosa and that pass rush. That pass rush takes a huge knock. And when you've got quarterbacks like Jared Goff, we just seen him out there dealing here last week. You've got Kyler Murray who can scramble. He ran for 2 touchdowns, had a third one called back. You got Russell Wilson who's playing at MVP level. The 49ers defense is in trouble, but that means there's going to be a lot of offensive points put up for fantasy purposes in that NFC West division. Who do you think benefits the most with Nick Bosa going down?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Calvin.
Well, from an IDP standpoint, I think we got somebody coming in, Doug, that might can help us on that side a little bit. Hopefully he'll be here pretty soon, but
well, I wanted to get that out because Doug's a huge 49ers fan, and I didn't want to bring it up when he was on the show because that kind of hurts. You lose one of your guys, and so I wanted to get that out before he came. So,
yeah, I think there's so you look at their philosophy so far. I was just running through. They are one of the teams that have run the least amount of plays through the first 2 weeks. And I think that's going to have to change. I think they're going to have to speed things up a little bit if they want any kind of opportunity to keep up with the Seahawks or the Rams or the whoever it is that they're going to be playing here coming up. And yeah, they're going to have to unleash things a little bit, and hopefully they do. But even if they do, who are they throwing the ball to? I mean, that is a team riddled with so many injuries on both sides of the ball, and that seems a bit of a mess right now. There you go.
Just to get you up to speed here, as our resident IDP expert, we were just talking about the 49ers and the loss of Nick Bosa, but we were talking about the loss of Nick Bosa and how that pertains to the other teams in the NFC West. Who benefits the most with the injuries that the 49ers have suffered? Who would you be kind of like, you know what, Bosa's down, this is huge for Kyler Murray. We know it's going to be huge for Russell Wilson. They're going to have time now when they play those games 2 times a year.
First of all, did everybody use antibiotics before letting Chase on the show?
Well, we asked him to go get quick swab tests before he came on. So
okay, all right, brother. Kerry Hyder is a big ad for me this week. Been playing a decent amount of snaps there on the edge already. So with Ford likely out again, Bosa out for a while. Kerry Hyder's probably the cheapest option. And of course, if Armstead's out there anywhere, pick up Armstead.
Yeah, absolutely. Hyder's been one of the sexier waiver picks on the IDP side of things, and he produced last week. He's got the numbers that back that up in that short period of time that he had a chance. We know Solomon Thomas is also out for the 49ers as well. And we were just kind of talking about running backs and quarterbacks going on here probably more than anything, because the quarterbacks in that NFC West, they're athletic. They can move the pocket. They can run the ball. And without Nick Bosa there, they're going to have time to dissect an already even banged up secondary with Richard Sherman out. So I think the quarterbacks are the big winners when it comes to the NFC West right now because of the Nick Bosa injury. Flipping over to the AFC West, we have Drew Lock, and the biggest winner of the Drew Lock sweep. Yes, sir.
Is Jeff Wilson on y'all's radar? Y'all like Jeff Wilson anymore? You know, Jet. We can't really depend on Jet that much. What's your thoughts on Jeff Wilson there? Did you already cover Mr. J Dub there?
We haven't got there yet because we can kind of jump there now with the Mostert injury there. He's going to be out for a couple weeks here. I don't know. You know what? I'm a big fan of Jet McKinnon. I really want the best for Jet McKinnon. He's got the athletic profile, and he's someone I definitely want to see succeed. Jeff Wilson, he had some success when he had a chance to run the ball, but it was short-lived. I don't know. I guess on the waiver wire, if he's there, he's definitely worth an ad if you've got the roster space for it and see what happens. But for me, I'm still a big believer in Jet McKinnon. I'll give him a shot here, and I'll ride him until the wheels fall off, which, like you said, could be within 2 or 3 weeks. So,
supposedly he's looked better than any of the other running backs in the offseason when it came to training camp. So I actually really, really like Jet. But I do got to point out the biggest winner, by the way, for this whole entire 49ers thing is, of course, Andy Isabella. Andy Isabella is by far the biggest winner because now Kyler Murray will have the time to wait in the pocket for Andy Isabella to get 80 yards downfield and get 6 touchdowns the next time they play. Just saying.
In 2021.
I'm just kidding.
Isabella. We're not going on the Andy Isabella here today, are we? This is a non-Andy Isabella show.
What? He's the best receiver in the NFL.
He is fantastic. We'll go with that. We'll go with fantastic. So Roberto wants to talk. He's kind of like, guys, is Trubisky the 4th best quarterback in the NFL behind Mahomes, Rodgers, and Wilson? Asking for a friend. You know what? I don't know about in the NFL, but for fantasy purposes, he's right up there. Like, you got to give the man his due. He really has been putting it out there. And I bet you he's still on plenty of waivers, and there's people have their reasons for it. But you know what? I love me some Mitch Trubisky. So we've talked about it. He is the truth. He is the Bisky. He's Mitch Truth-Bisky. That's who he is.
I think we're going to find out this week. We're going to find out this week.
But fourth?
Yeah. Hey, sometimes we have to live bold, right? We have to live bold.
No. Oklahoma's right. Doug is right. He's top 3. You're right.
Yeah.
He's top 3.
My bad. That's if he's getting the ball to Darnell Mooney, baby. Last name rhymes with Duty.
No, it's Mooney.
Dingus love the Mooney. Dingus loves the Mooney.
Whatever I say in my head works. Okay, I know who to pick up on the waiver wire. Chase.
He just starts in the first 3 letters. You know, he's good to go.
Yeah.
Although you did spell it earlier with Muney.
The Tulane product has made me look pretty good here so far this season. I love me some Darryl Mooney.
Me too.
But now as we transition, let's transition to the AFC West real quick, and let's talk about everyone's favorite thing, Blake Bortles. Blake Bortles has signed with the Denver Broncos. Hurricane Bortles is coming through Colorado. Drew Lock is out 3 to 5 weeks, and you know what? He may never get his job back now that Bortles is in town.
Yo, that comment by Linda, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid. I'll put it up there.
In all seriousness, it's kind of a good team for Bortles. You've got Fant. You got Fant, who's a big body target who can go up and get the ball. You got Cortland Sutton. I know he's a little banged up. That's a guy that can go get the ball in the end zone. And Jerry Jeudy, who's a quick twitch guy who can make his move right at the line. If it's going to happen again for Bortles, this is it. This is it.
Dude, you guys do realize that Linda's in the chat, right? Linda's going to kill you guys, like murder you in your sleep for not supporting the dump truck over there.
Jeff Driscoll?
Oh my God. I can't get those images out of my head. I puke every single time I see them because she posts them constantly.
Him in his nice tight white pants that are all soaking wet where you can see his jock strap. You dig that? You dig that?
Dude, stop. I can't.
No,
if Driscoll was the answer, then they wouldn't have signed Bortles. They'd have got somebody off the practice squad.
No, dude, you got to have a good backup, man.
But, you know,
He
I do
sufficed
agree.
last year.
When given the opportunity, Blake Bortles, this may be his best offensive cast that he's had in the National Football League. Denver's line is not bad. It's pretty good. It's one of the better lines in the league. They don't have that Allen Robinson because Cortland Sutton is out. He's going to be out probably for the year because of that injury he suffered this last week. He's another one of the big ones. But you've still got Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, and the legend himself, Tim Patrick, still there catching passes. You're going to have Philip Lindsay coming back in here in probably a couple weeks, and you have Melvin Gordon. So you've got a run game. You got Fanta tight end. You've got some weapons all over to spread the ball. Unfortunately, he doesn't have his Allen Robinson, Roberto, but that's because Trubisky has him. If Bortles is given the opportunity, I'm not going to say he's going to be a top 15 quarterback, but he may be good enough to help the Broncos win a few games. And defense, well,
look. If we're becoming the go-to place for pro Trubisky and pro Bortles talk, I'm gonna have to consider some things here. If we're gonna talk about the AFC West, so the guy that I'm most excited about, KJ Hamler, he came in very first time in the NFL. He gets 7 targets. I love it. He only converted 3 of them. That's okay. It's his first time. It leaves your buy window open. Whoever's throwing to him, I think KJ Hamler is going to be somebody that I'm really excited about. I'm not starting him, but I'm excited to have him. And you probably can still acquire him for a decent price at this point.
He outsnapped Jerry Jeudy, I'm pretty sure, right? And I think he actually got more opportunities because he got a run as well. So he actually out-opportunityed, if that's a thing, Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, let's just make up words and shit.
Out opportunities. You make up phrases all the time. I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to hear from you. You make up shit all the time. That's your MO.
That's not made up. That's Oklahoma slang, man. That's a way of life down there.
I can't with you, Doug.
But the competition to watch is between him and Deshaun Elliott, or is it Hamilton? Hamilton. That's the competition, though, because he's not going to move ahead of Jerry Jeudy on the depth chart. That's not going to happen. So the competition's between him and Elliott, in my opinion.
No, Tim Patrick. You have Tim Patrick, who's above Deshaun Hamilton, and then you have but KJ Hamler's leading the whole team in targets, opportunities, everything. And Jerry Jeudy keeps dropping shit.
Well, it's going to be interesting because right now, in their three, with Cortland Sutton being down and the 3 wide receiver set, they've got obviously Hamler, who they're going to be bringing up. They've got Jerry Jeudy, probably the 2 main guys. They got Tim Patrick, Deshaun Hamilton, and Tyree Cleveland is still there too. He's definitely going to be somebody you're going to see a little bit more going forward as well. A guy worth that. If you're in deep leagues, he's definitely a guy to take a look at. That's probably not getting any credit here right now. Based on his college production, he was exciting. His tape was exciting to watch. He didn't have the production that you'd like to see with some of that skill set, but I actually enjoy watching some of his tape.
Yeah, and J Mike points out in the chat, real quick, J Mike points out in the chat, Jerry Jeudy is getting open constantly. And he is. He's open on almost every single take, and that's very, very helpful. Though my only concern is that quarterbacks stop trusting receivers, and so do offensive coordinators because they call the perfect play, and they put it on themselves for calling the perfect play, not always on the receivers. Receivers drop the ball, all of a sudden they look like idiots. So they stop feeding certain players the balls. They become the distraction instead of the actual, main person. So
yeah, but just like you just said, the main person, that means he gets the main focus of the defense. So right now, Jerry Jeudy's getting he is getting open against the better part of the defense, the higher caliber of the defense, meaning KJ Hamler's getting the slack of the defense, the lesser of the defense. So once the coordinators pick up on that, it's kind of vice versa than that to me, CV.
Also, I want to keep this kind of rolling here. Let's talk, speaking of things that always seem to happen, I want to turn to you, Calvin. Stop me if you've heard this before. Will Fuller is dealing with hamstring issues. He played 36 snaps in their loss here on the weekend. and only 2 of them came in the fourth quarter. Will Fuller is dealing with hamstring injuries already. Calvin, go. You there?
I got to fix my internet.
Yeah, he's going to work on that. I'll take this. So I'm really disappointed about Will Fuller. Will Fuller, was a very exciting prospect.
Ever since I got on here, you've been talking the whole time.
Well, he asked a question. I'm trying to answer it because Calvin.
I love you. I love you. Go ahead.
You want to answer this? No, you want to answer this? Wait, this
Nope.
way. God, I keep on messing this up.
Nope.
I
Go
love
ahead.
Will Fuller, man. I love Will Fuller, and it's definitely disappointing. But they might have seen that they were in a losing effort last week and just pulled him out. We'll see what happens this upcoming week. But Will Fuller, I mean, it's the same old story. This guy has immense amounts of talent. You just can't stay on the field. Very simple.
It is. It's painful to see because when you see what he did in week 1. They used him. I think he had like 9 or 10 catches. He was all over the place, and they weren't using him as that burner. They were using him as a wide receiver.
Yeah,
he was actually involved in the passing game, not just that one-trick pony like he was with DeAndre Hopkins. They were using him everywhere. I liked what the Texans were doing, and I could see how they were working everything with Brandon Cooks coming back in, David Johnson. You can see what they were trying to do with their team and how it was kind of starting to flow. And then he goes down. Now he played, but of those 36 snaps, how many of them was he really at 100%? Like I think he tweaked that pretty early in the game. He tried to gut it out there, but it just wasn't going. And unfortunately, this is something that's plagued him his entire career. You don't like to see bad things happen, but sometimes you are what you are at this point. And I don't want to call him quite injury prone, but oh boy, I don't know.
Fuller is who we thought Fuller was.
It's like that old Denny Green. They are who we thought they are.
Hey, speaking of that wide receiving core there in Houston, that something's off with Brandon Cooks. Now, I don't know if I'm just now catching on. I'm not sure what it is if I didn't ever catch this, but the way Mr. L'Jarius Sneed covered that dude like a wet blanket week 1 was phenomenal. I got some video capture stuff going on right now that I'll put out just on Twitter here later. But man, the way Sneed covered him, Coach, week 1, almost a 5th round rookie should not be able to cover a guy like Brandon Cook. Yeah, I mean, do you see what I'm saying, buddy?
Brandon Cooks is too good of a receiver. He's been too good of a receiver for so long. He's got the speed. You're right. He should not be covered by a 5th rounder. And we got Chase blowing kisses to Jay Mike. This is beautiful to see. Like, beautiful to see. Creepy on his end. But
yeah, for sure. We're going to get flagged.
I feel like the offensive line doesn't give Sean Watson any time, so you're never going to see Brandon Cooks be a thing, like a big time thing, up until he starts getting more time. So I like Brandon Cooks in the games where teams don't provide a lot of pressure. Very similar to Will Fuller in a lot of cases, but yeah, it's going to be tough to see any kind of massive production out of this offense.
Basically, the more things change in Houston, the more they stay the same. Will Fuller still got a wonky hamstring, and Deshaun Watson still has a wonky offensive line no matter how much money they sink into it, right?
That's right. And you're still not going to get to start a tight end.
Definitely. Akins looked like he could be viable. Akins looked like he was creating mismatches on the field. And I think that's something that the Texans may try and take advantage of the next couple of weeks and see if they've got something there.
Right up.
True. We've been going for like 30 minutes. Come on, bro.
TK. What's up, TK, baby? TK.
We got a little party going on in the chat room. I don't think we've had this many people in here ever for a podcast. So
it's the stash, bro. Good. Not the beard. It's the stash. Gardner Minshew's going to take this game. It's the stash.
Well, see, I haven't quite decided what side I'm leaning on. I got kind of the beard going on. I got a nice, beautiful, thick stash cut right above it. I haven't quite decided which way I go on. I may put it down to this: if the Miami Dolphins win, if Ryan Fitzpatrick wins, I may keep the beard going. If Gardner Minshew wins, I may shave everything and leave the stash. Go with the nice little.
You won't. Wait, you're gonna do just the stash?
I might just do the stash. If the
Oh
Jags
my
beat the
God.
Dolphins.
You got to put that in stone. I want to hear it right now. Do it. Do it.
Is
Put it in
I'm
stone. We have so many people in the group chat. I need to hear it from the group chat, please. If the Dolphins end up losing to the Jags, he's going to do a stash. He needs to do it. He needs to do it. Guys, come on, please. Get my back. Where's Linda? Yes. Okay, thank you, Linda. Where's J Mike? Come on, guys.
And the best part
man.
is,
Troy's on it.
I just look
I'll
like a
hold the
redneck.
money. I'll hold the money.
See, the funny part is, if I do that, I just look like a redneck, like off a tombstone or something with a handlebar stash.
Easy.
Hey,
He said easy when he said redneck.
well, it's funny. It's like where I'm from, we are the rednecks of Canada in southern Alberta. That's what we are.
That's a thing.
So it is, which is absolutely hilarious because we're still more northern than most of the states are. So yeah, no, we're we got our necks in red and we're proud of it. We're all about the oil and gas out here in Southwest Canada. So
I tell you what, if Christian Wilkins don't get a QB hit, I'll put the Firebird Trans Am in my chest hair.
nice. We got all kinds of bets going on here.
Oh God! Do I have to do something now?
Well, let's put it this way: if the
Ace is
Saints
gonna pull the wax.
No, not until both Dingus and I get 2,000 followers. Then I'll do the wax. I'll do the wax. I swear to God, I'll do the wax as soon as Dingus and I get 2,000 followers. I will wax my chest with Dingus
live
Live.
on the live stream.
live. We'll do it together.
Wait, like at the same room or
No, right here.
No,
I'll
he's in
pull it
Canada,
up
man.
okay. All right.
I don't know how to do a wax. I'm gonna have to call somebody, but yeah. Might not
Sure
jeez.
you don't. Sure you don't. Don't lie to us out here.
Man, I got a hairy chest, bro.
I can see you getting ready for spring break down there in Galveston, Texas.
I don't even own a razor. I'm in Virginia Beach.
Whatever. Tomato.
So this time next week, I could have like the full handlebar mustache going on with
And
a hairless chest.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Do you guys hear that? Do you guys hear that? Oh my God. The handlebar mustache with the hairless chest. Oh, I love it. I love it. Have we even started the show sheet yet?
We're kind of going over the injuries here. Jeez, we don't really have a show sheet here. That's all we just kind of start throwing things out. We have kind of a guideline that we kind of throw. We know we got to get to Calvin's segment at some point. We want to talk about these injuries a little bit. We knew we wanted to go there. We want to talk about some
Calvin, you're back. Hey, buddy.
Hey, I knew it was a mistake to get. I shouldn't have let Hollywood be the one to set up my internet for me. That was a mistake. I knew that from the start.
Hollywood as in D-William?
Huh?
Is he hooking up? Hooking up Cox cable these days?
Yeah. I just he asked for my help. He needed a favor, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I like Hollywood. I'll let him do that for me. But
Hollywood will take you down them rabbit holes, won't it, Coach?
Well, back in the day when we had the old rated IDP show, Dougie, myself, and Daryl, the running joke was always that we sent Daryl some possums to play around with his internet there. So his internet would always break up. So one more quick injury that I wanted to hit on here is in the NFC North, and it is the effect of Devontae Adams here. Calvin, I'll turn it over to you for this one. Devontae Adams injury. What does that mean for the whole? Where are you pointing, dude? You're pointing over like Troy's comments in the section here.
No, J Mike's.
Oh, J Mike's. Okay, I'll get to that here.
He said we all want to see that.
Oh, what's that? We want to see the handlebars, or we want to see the skinless chests of Chase and Dingus?
Both.
Calvin has pretty eyes.
He does. He has very pretty eyes.
He does. He's a good-looking man.
He also likes to play the small spoon, so that kind of works for me.
that's my favorite.
Leave that for the Patreon.
Yeah, no doubt. But the biggest player of Devontae Adams is Aaron Jones. Like I think he proved that last year. He his role in the offense is everything seemed to point towards him having less of a role this year, in my opinion. And that's what I thought over the offseason. That just has not been the case. That's something I've definitely been wrong about. And he's looked really good. TD regression has nothing on him. It doesn't seem like that's ever going to come. So look, as long as Aaron Rodgers is playing the way he's playing, and if he's playing the way he's playing, look, MVS and Lazard, those guys will do fine. I think both those guys are lower end wide receiver plays, but I think it mostly helps Aaron Jones.
Well, I think we all were starting to write off Aaron Jones. I won't say we were writing him off, but we were basically putting him in a new uniform after this season. Hey, Chase, would you agree with that? We were kind of envisioning him somewhere else. Green Bay goes out. They draft A.J. Dillon. They've got my favorite running back in the entire NFL there, Jamal Williams, with his Frozen takes and his mermaid takes. Like, dude, you have to look up YouTube videos.
I look like SpongeBob. I feel like SpongeBob.
It's SpongeBob. Like, dude, stop watching us right now and like YouTube Jamal Williams interviews, like Frozen, SpongeBob, Little Mermaid.
It's amazing.
He's like, oh man, I love playing in the rain. I mean, I feel like a mermaid. Like these comments he makes, I'm like, dude, you're my favorite now. I don't even care what happens. You're my favorite running back.
I think Jamal Williams will actually stick with Green Bay after the season. However, Aaron Jones, I still have leaving. I know that they were talking about, contract extensions, but I think it was complete BS, right? He didn't resign. Did I miss that? Did he resign? No. He didn't resign, right?
But Calvin's going to Google that while we're talking here, so I'm going to try and buy some time for him and really talk about.
I don't think he did.
We know Aaron Jones is probably the one who's going to benefit. The offense is going through Aaron Jones right now. We can all agree on that. Both running and pass. Some of those that catch he made over top. He mossed a guy, for crying out loud. Aaron Jones mossed a guy over the top, pulled it in. Beautiful play. On top of that, so we know Aaron Jones is there. But would you rather MVS or Allen Lazard here?
Would you rather is my kid's favorite game, by the way. It's literally what he plays in the car every single day. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, those ridiculous things you've ever heard. That might be a fun thing to do every now and then here. But it's honestly, through 3 weeks, my answer is completely changed than it was 2 weeks ago. I would have said Allen Lazard. He certainly seemed like he was the wide receiver too. But digging into the numbers, MVS has played a much bigger role in the offense. So I think you have to go towards that. And it appears Aaron Rodgers has finally forgiven MVS for running the offense that Mike McCarthy wanted and not doing what Aaron Rodgers told him to do, if you want to believe the reports from 2 years ago. And MVS has always been a pretty talented guy. And, yeah, I like what he's doing this year.
MVS has struggled in the offseason developing rapport with Aaron Rodgers. This year it seems like it's on point. But, I mean, we saw Devontae Adams, potentially get out with an injury. We don't know how long it's going to last, right? Did he get cleared from injury reports yet? Does anybody know?
He didn't practice today. He did not practice today.
So Allen Lazard would actually be the go-to guy. Now, can he handle that role? That's the big question. But I think that Allen Lazard is going to see the majority of the targets. Meanwhile, you have the high-end upside of MVS. So that's kind of where I stand. If you need floor, I go Allen Lazard. If you need target or if you need upside, I go MVS.
Hang on 1 second. Keep talking here.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is Equanimeous St. Brown, right? I mean, that's the big benefactor. I mean, no, I'm just kidding. We have what? Oh God! Oh God!
What is happening?
I was wondering why you're taking so long, and then I saw it initially, and I thought it was something really weird. By the way, why do you have a white screen on? What?
Because I'm normal, man.
What are you talking about? You're normal. Only like psychos. Only psychos have a white screen for Twitter.
Dude. Linda. I have 9 kids under 12 under this roof right now. There's nothing normal here. Doug knows exactly what I'm talking about. Doug's like right behind me in the children's train. After 6, you lose all sanity. You don't even know what's going on anymore.
You have a white screen. You should know what's going on. Calvin, do you have a white screen for Twitter?
Hey, I bet he don't even
I have a
bet he
white
don't
screen.
even know how to get to the settings. He ain't worried about that. When he got extra time, he gets on Twitter, he mingles, and he gets in, gets out, makes PB and J's, and he's back on with business. Business number one's being Papa. Number two is worrying about your dark mode. CV the SDD.
And you're right. I don't know how to find the dark mode.
Boom.
That makes
That's
it even
what-
better.
Boom. Nailed it.
Oh,
I
man.
found it. I think I found the dim mode in settings. I think I found the dim mode.
I
Do you go
grabbed-
dim or do you go lights out?
I go all black.
I am from South Louisiana. Y'all were talking about rednecks earlier. Like South Louisiana is just a totally different. We don't technology. I mean, like I'm not sure half of what you guys have we've even received yet. So I don't even know what this dim mode. All the, like, I have Twitter, man. I'm pretty good. Like I have Twitter, and
Hey Calvin,
that's doing pretty good
Calvin,
now.
let me get that good roux recipe. Let me get that good roux recipe.
Yeah,
Come on.
I can get you one.
That's what's
I didn't have a
Yeah.
laptop until a year
I
ago.
think-
So.
Them people down there in Louisiana, they eat rice and roux with everything.
Oh, there we go.
Roux.
There we go. There he is. He is a normal person. Oh, I love it. But I don't love that image that he's showing because it just shows extreme pain.
One of them
Linda!
47 kids came and did that for him while we was giving him a hard time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
I
man.
gotta get my 12-year-old to do that for me. She knows more about technology than I do. Let's be honest. This
How
is
old's
so
your
weird.
oldest?
My oldest is turning 24 here in
That's him right there,
3
Calvin.
weeks.
Good looking young man you got there, coach. Good looking young man.
Yeah, but I went
40?
wrong somewhere.
He went wrong somewhere.
I like it. I like the sharp trim cut. You know, military background's what I see. Military background.
So Dougie, is that the GIF you've been GIF, whatever you want to call it, that you've been sharing constantly of that baby? That's your kid, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I use
Okay,
it
I
for
thought so.
everything now. Yep, it don't matter if them fireworks go off over there in Guatemala again or wherever it was. You're gonna see that little chubby cheek boy on there going.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, going to my grandma's
See it.
funeral.
I like it. Spread it around, buddy.
You definitely said
Oh,
you
Y'all
man.
like my car salesman mic? Y'all like that?
Yeah, what's going on over there?
I took it off the stand, man. I didn't want to set everything up, so I got this like Price is Right microphone here.
It
Does
looks
sound
like
all right?
Price
I thought-
is Right.
I thought you were playing with a flashlight.
I thought it was
Oh,
a beer.
yeah.
Because didn't you have it like I thought you had it like tucked in your ear or something.
Oh yeah, I put it up on my hat because I get tired of
Yeah.
holding.
See, I'm not crazy. It kind of does look like it could be the flashlight.
Yeah, I thought it was a flashlight at one point too. I thought it was a beer first, and I thought it was a flashlight. Then I realized it was Mike.
It's hard
Here's
to
what I
mess up this accent. It all sounds like shit.
I can't.
So, one of the things we like to do here is we like to talk about our hits and misses for full disclosure kind of thing. What are we talking about? What do we get right? What did we get wrong? And I'll start with what I got wrong this last week. And I blame Calvin for it because I really thought Emmanuel Sanders was going to do something. Like he is that gift this week on Monday Night Football where the guys like poking him with a stick. Do something. Do something. That was Emmanuel Sanders. I made the choice and I went against Bob Long is a good friend of mine. He has written the Bible when it comes to consistency in football. I sat John Brown, who is one of the most consistent wide receivers in all of football, for Emmanuel Sanders, and I lost by 3 points. Emmanuel Sanders, I messed that one up big time. Calvin, what'd you miss?
I think you just called his miss, didn't you?
No. I mean, I did think he was going to have a better game, but my biggest miss is way worse than that. All off season, I was hyping up Nyheim Hines because I was 100% sure that he was going to be 2015 Danny Woodhead. I even went back and watched 2015 San Diego Chargers games just to like prepare for it. And look, I feel like I had good reasons. I feel like I had good process. Now I will say, and then after week one, I kind of got a little cocky about it. I was like, see, I told you he's gonna have, he's great. He's definitely playing that role. And then week two came, and he just completely disappeared, despite everything Frank Reich said that his role was going to be about. And honestly, I still don't fully understand. I did watch the broadcast, and they did talk about him having cramps, which could explain some of it. I hope that is true, but I am definitely certainly out on him at this point. He's on my bench. I'm not dropping him because I still think there's a chance that he is that. But yeah, that was huge right now, swing and a miss for me this past week.
Chase, what'd you miss?
Oh, man. I missed on quite a few. Derrick Henry was a big one. Thought he'd smash. A lot of other people did, but they didn't give him the ball in the passing game, which they needed to do, and that didn't happen. Anthony Miller was a big miss for me as well. He dropped a touchdown pass. That absolutely sucked. I probably think my biggest miss overall was probably Anthony Miller, although, yeah, it was there for me, just didn't take advantage of it. So I'm going to go with Anthony Miller.
Well, Anthony Miller was an interesting one because it was like once they got ahead, he was not on the field. He sat on the sidelines while they were ahead. So that was a very interesting usage there. Dougie, where'd you miss in week two?
Oh, how much time do we got? No.
Pick the worst one. Just rip that wax pad off like on the chest here. Just rip it.
I'll go back to what Calvin said earlier about Aaron Jones. It's as the guy is arguably maybe the best fantasy running back in the game right now through 2 weeks. I wasn't a fan. I was a fan of Jamal Williams, and it's time I put it out there in the airwaves. I was dead wrong about Aaron Jones. The guy looks phenomenal, and I agree the biggest beneficiary with Devontae Adams being out will be Mr. Aaron Jones, especially against that Saints defense.
So now that we've just humbled ourselves, now it's time to brag a little bit about what we hit on. What was your – I know what Calvin and Hobby's biggest hit was this last week because he wouldn't shut up about it. And I know I hit – you talked about him all last show. And then as soon as it went off, I was like, really, man? Really? Okay, Calvin, tell us who you got.
Tyler Higbee, I definitely thought he was going to have a great game this past week. And a lot of it, honestly, though, is I do think Chase was right. I think Chase was right about the very end of last year. He really did very well because he had really good matchups. They played some teams that were very poor against the tight end. And just digging through, Logan Thomas had a great game against the Philadelphia Eagles the week before and just played a hunch that, hey, the Eagles might not be very good against the tight end this year. And I think that played out. And I think Tyler Higbee had a good game. I think when they play teams who are not good at playing the tight end, I think Sean McVay is smart enough to adjust.
He knows.
Yeah, and he'll be really good. So he's going to have some good weeks. He's going to have some bad weeks. I no longer think he's going to be like the central piece of the offense that I thought maybe he was going to turn into. But yeah, I think he's going to have some matchups that we need to hit smash on and get him in our lineups.
I fail to recognize Tyler Higbee with Todd Gurley leaving because Todd Gurley had so many red zone carries. So that was kind of, a fault of my own that I thought that Malcolm Brown would automatically just take all those red zone, carries over, and he hasn't. Although, he is the teacher's pet over there, for Sean McVay. I just don't see I don't see him taking the same amount of red zone carries as Todd Gurley had. So that was fault of my own, and actually that was something that I kind of ignored when it came to Tyler Higbee. And with Gerald Everett being out, yeah, he was the go-to guy. He went off 3 touchdowns, right?
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, love it. Absolutely.
Who's your big hit there, Chase?
We'll go with a DFS flyer that I had. Isaiah Ford. Isaiah Ford. I know that who did they play last week? The Bills, right? The Bills. It was the Bills, right? Before I dive into this.
Yeah, Bill.
Yeah.
You're part of the show, Chase. Get it right. Let's go.
Oh, shut up. Isaiah Ford was up against the Bills last week. They have Tre'Davious White on the outside. They're overall dominant on the outside, and with deep balls for the most part until it comes with the one-on-one matchups and the cornerbacks. And Isaiah Ford has that dominant athletic trait to where he can actually beat a lot of those nickel corners. So he was going to see the targets already to that. It was whether he was going to see those high premium type targets. And he did. And it was something that I think could end up happening again this week, by the way. But, last week I stuck my flag. I stuck my flex flag into Isaiah Ford, and it was really risky. So that's why I'm kind of taking the pride in picking Isaiah Ford, because nobody had him.
Well, I'd be careful where you're sticking that flag, to be honest with you.
You got to protect yourself here, Chase. Definitely multiple rosters so that you can protect yourself.
Dougie, who was your big hit from week 2? Take your victory lap here.
I'm gonna head on over there to IDP, Bubba, and a guy that was making his start opposite one, Jalen Ramsey, and that's Troy Hill there in LA, with opposing quarterbacks looking nowhere near Mr. Jalen Ramsey. Troy Hill had came out and made another fabulous day. So Troy Hill, I think he's startable from now on until Mr. Peters gets back, if he will. Has anybody heard an update about that anyway? Marcus Peters, any update?
I have not heard anything yet.
Okay, so it's full go, baby. Troy Hill, full go. Let her roll.
That's great. All them hills are.
Just real quick, Coach. Jeremy Chin. I'm trying to put a little video back together, buddy. This guy is, I believe, the next thing in the NFL. The way the Carolina Panthers have utilized this guy to take away each team's opposing weapon, kind of the way the Patriots have done it through the years. The way that the Panthers are using Jeremy Chin is IDP gold. It's actually what we was hoping that Isaiah Simmons would be down there in Cardinal land, but it turns out Jeremy Chin is this guy. He lines up on the right side, outside linebacker a lot. He'll drop back in that strong safety spot. Jeremy Chin. If you can go out there and buy him in Dynasty, I've been on his sailboat all off season. If you can go out there and buy him, send me what the offer is. We'll make it a good offer, but go buy Jeremy Chin.
Absolutely agree. I couldn't agree more with Chin. Everyone knows this is a pro Chin. I've had him and Kyle Duggar were my top 2 safeties coming out of the draft this year. I loved what they could do. Like you said, everyone's talking Isaiah Simmons, but these guys are everything that Isaiah Simmons was. They're that hybrid linebacker safety at a discount when you're talking the draft. You're getting these guys much later. Everyone's using in IDP drafts up to a second-round pick on Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah,
guys are going to move up and getting a second. Meanwhile, Kyle Duggar and Jeremy Chin, you can get in the 5th or 6th round, maybe even later, depending on how the scoring all worked out for you. Like, Chin's been an absolute steal, and I'm so glad to see how they're using him right now.
And what's wild about it, Coach, just real fast, is we all kind of had him as a top 3 safety, but to see the way he lines up down there in that linebacker role, over 50% of the snaps, and then plus plays that center field up there at the free safety spot, I don't think that's something that we all, seen coming. We know the guy was going to be on the field taking the spot for Eric Reed, who was, leaving 120 combined tackles behind. But, I don't think we realized that this guy was going to line up at linebacker like this.
Well, and it's not just those 120 tackles that Eric Reed abandoned. Captain Luke, he left too this year. So there's all kinds of tackles for Jeremy Chin to be picking up.
Exactly.
So that's why he had IDP enthusiasts salivating at the fact of how he went there. And how he's being used is how we could only dream he would be used. I don't
Right.
think any of us expect, like you said, I don't think any one of us expected him to be used the way he's used, but that's how we hoped he would have been used.
Right.
So it's fantastic to see. As far as my big hit this week, I went on the True North podcast there, and we talked about Browns football, and I nailed the Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, I said was going to go off. I said there's going to be a huge correction in his usage because the week before it was all Kareem Hunt. So week 2 came rolling around. A lot of people were scared off on how Nick Chubb was going to be used. It was the Bengals. Geno Atkins was out. DJ Reader played, but he was a little banged up. That underbelly of the Bengals defense was very soft. Nick Chubb went in there and he pounded them holes. I'll tell you what. So he was my big hit. So now we're going to move on to who are we throwing out there for the people to go pick up to start in their lineups? Who's that guy that you're planting your flag on in week 3? Chase, go. You're muted, dude.
I know. I keep getting muted. This is the 3rd time. So I was like, okay. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk.
I didn't touch you.
What was the question? Sorry, I was reading something.
Really? See, this is why you probably should have been muted. Week 3. Who you got? Who's your guy you're going with? Who are you planting your flag on?
Oh God, there's so many. Miles Gaskins. Miles Gaskin is probably the guy that I'm planting my flag on. I think that he's a strong play. He had 46 yards receiving last week and 36 yards rushing. I might have had that reversed. I think this week it's going to be somebody that sees close to 80 yards receiving. Maybe 30 yards rushing or so, and we could see 1 or 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, I'm planting my flag in Miles Gaskin.
Miles Gaskin. I hope you're right because I don't know what to make of that Dolphins backfield right now. Gaskins has obviously become the running back 1 by default almost in Miami. So I think it'll be interesting to see how he's got an opportunity here. Like you said, he's playing the Jaguars, who he should be able to get some good mileage out of them. So we'll see how that pans out there. Dougie, who are you playing on your flag here, week 3?
All right, Coach, for this one, we go over to the Bay, the Los Angeles Rams. I'm firing up Mike Kaiser, baby. He's getting 99% of the snaps with a little 10 less Los Angeles Rams. We're firing up Micah Kaiser, baby.
I love me some Micah Kaiser. I got him basically for free in the offseason off of waivers because nobody wanted him. And let's be honest, we were a little unsure how that linebacking core for the Rams was going to work out. They had some bodies there.
I could have used his name in the last segment, Coach. I could have used his name as I was wrong. I could have used it in the last one.
But like I said, I took a flyer on him. I hoped it would be him because I got a lot of shares of him, but it could have gone the other way pretty quick. I'm glad his talent won out in the end. For me, week 3, I'll give you 2 because I can. 1, I'm going to the dirty South, doing a little dirty bird. I'm giving you a little Russell Gage for week 3. Russell Gage, Atlanta Falcons, wide receiver. Julio's banged up. There's a shocker. I drafted him in redraft, so he's bound to get hurt. That's what he does every time I draft him. Calvin Ridley has become the number 1 wide receiver in Atlanta. Not only touchdowns, but yardage. Matt Ryan's looking to him. Julio's still a freak athlete. I'll take him on my team every day of the week. Russell Gage. This is a team in week 1 had 3 receivers over 100 yards. Gage, Ridley, Jones is what people wanted to see in Cooper, Gallup, and Lamb. You're getting that in the dirty South. Russell Gage, my week 3 performer. And on the flip side, on the IDP, making his start for the Seattle Seahawks at linebacker, Jordan Brooks. He's getting that opportunity this week. I don't know if you're ready to start him yet. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do. He is a heat-seeking missile in the linebacking core. He is a read and react. When he sees ball, he goes to hit ball. We'll see how that translates for him here in week number 3. If he's going to over pursue, which I'm expecting him to over pursue a few times, but he's going to go make some big hits, and you're going to love seeing Jordan Brooks on the field and see why Seattle drafted him as highly as they did.
First of all, Coach, I hate the way Chase drinks his whiskey. Second of all, I love the cage call because this is what they wanted Sanu the guy's got a better arm. Let's face it, Julio dropped that pass from Gage last week. He dropped that bad boy. That was a perfectly thrown ball there by Gage. He's got a better arm. He's younger. He's under contract. Let's go some Gage. I love that call there, Coach.
I think it's time to get on board. He's given us 2 good weeks. There's no reason for us not to think. And now with Julio being a little bit nicked up, his role is going to expand. So we'll see how that plays off. So we've touched base on a little bit of the injury inventory.
Wait, hold on. Where's mine? I need to call. I got to call it for this week.
No, you've had 2 good hits in a row. You're done. You don't get no more. No, go ahead, hit it.
Okay. Real quick. Nobody's given up more points to running backs this season than the Carolina Panthers. And who do they play this week? They play Los Angeles Chargers. Joshua Kelly got 23 carries last week. I think this is where Joshua Kelly breaks out. I think he is the guy. He's the guy you want to fire up into your lineups. And Drew Sample, he gets the Eagles this week, so fire him up too.
I haven't heard nobody talking about Drew Sample this week, so
What?
I'm glad you brought that up, Hobbs.
What?
That's one name that I haven't heard this entire day. The last 2 days I haven't heard Drew Sample's name, so I'm glad you brought that up. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, man.
You got it.
I'm always searching for a tight end, so I appreciate you, Calvin.
Look, I didn't even know that was a thing.
I knew that beautiful eyes were good for something.
I need the backstory there. What happened? I need the backstory.
Chase, how do you feel about Drew Sample?
You like Drew Sample this week, Chase? You like him going forward any, or what's that guy's name that got hurt? Usman Zuza? Do you know who that I'm talking about here?
I've had like 10 podcasts so far this week, and I think I brought up Drew Sample in every freaking one of them. I'm not saying a word. You should probably just mute me right now for the 4th time this episode.
It's my guy.
You've been muting yourself, man.
It wasn't me.
Dougie heard it here first.
I went to sit there and actually compliment one of your takes, Matt, and I got muted. So,
Really?
Just saying.
That doesn't sound like something I would do. I don't think I'd mute anyone for complimenting me. I kind of like hearing how good I am.
Listen here, your mustache is getting angry, and your lips are just moving. So just calm down, all right? We love you, Chase. We love you, buddy. All right. We love that Tom Selleck mustache, and we love you. Okay, we love you, Chase. I like the new picture behind you, Peanuts. Did your mama or somebody get that?
I know you already know the story.
Nothing.
Cut that out.
Okay, okay. You can talk now. Nope, not now. Okay, now. Nope.
Did he get muted?
Yeah, I think your finger is accidentally on the button or something because he's been getting muted the whole show.
I muted myself that time.
No, he muted. I got a little thing here that says can't unmute your guest because he muted himself.
No, I muted myself that time. I did.
I like the picture though. Why did you mute yourself after I said I like the picture?
Because I paid $170 for it when I was drunk. If you didn't know the story.
If you'll quit drinking your whiskey sideways like that, out of the cup like that, you'll quit having
pinkies up.
Moves.
That's how I said that,
Pinky up.
I can't help it. I don't have to spit. Like, what do you want me to do? Put it on the bottom?
First of all, put your whole hand around the glass like a grown man. Okay.
Like this?
Yes. Don't put your pinky under it like you're holding a coffee cup.
No.
Caramels in it.
Then how am I supposed to see the color?
Oh, Jesus, Louis. Coach, I can't. I'm sorry. Back to you in studio.
Back in studio. So we're gonna head over to a newer-ish segment that we brought out last week. Chase, Calvin, are you ready for this one? You prepared for the Viper Strike?
Sure.
Do we decide to call this Viper Strike, or do we give it something else for the segment? I can't remember what we used to call it. What are we calling it?
I think we're 3 and out, but I'm really going to focus on one, and then I may highlight some of number 2.
All right. So here we go. Hang on. 3 and out. Hit us, Calvin.
All right. So I need you guys to play along with me here, and you guys can do that in the chat. So I want you to close your eyes and picture yourself in May of 2021. Okay. We are just after the 2021 NFL draft. We've had a full season. We've had free agency. Adam Gase, thankfully, is no longer in the NFL. We're really happy about that. We are going to assume, even though this is dangerous, everybody who is currently healthy kind of stays healthy and plays out kind of the way you think it's going to play out. Offseason, the people you think are gone, maybe you think Aaron Jones signs with Green Bay, maybe you think he goes somewhere else. Whatever you think is going to happen is going to happen. All right. Now let's say we get reports that Saquon Barkley is doing well in his rehab. Okay, maybe we even get a video on his social media showing him flipping a tire or squatting a mini horse or something like that. Then we see that either the Giants they retain Devontae Freeman, or they bring in a guy like, I don't know if there's a New England Patriot connection with their head coach there, but let's say maybe Sony Michel finds his way over to the Giants, or nobody major that you're really scared of for Sony Michel. But maybe they draft a wide receiver. Okay, you've got the Giants coaching staff in place. We still have Jason Garrett as the offensive coordinator, who right now the Giants are number 5 in the most pass attempts in the NFL. They have the least rushing attempts in the NFL. But hey, Saquon Barkley can do a lot of different things. He can play, he can play when they're running the ball. He can play when they're passing the ball. There's a lot of great things that he can do. And now we're in May 2021. Remember, you're in a dynasty startup. You got 12 teams. Knowing everything that we know about the fantasy community, I want to ask you just a either or, like, who would you rather? So it's going to be Saquon Barkley or some of these other guys. And really, we're just trying to figure out, like, where is his 2021 value? Coming off of injuries last year. Injury ended his season here in 2020 with ACL. So who are you taking first? Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley? That one's probably
I'll go here.
Yeah.
I'm going to who I've always gone to, and I'm going to still stick with Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
McCaffrey's my guy. I got to go with my guy.
That was probably unanimous.
I don't think McCaffrey's injury is as bad as we think it is. It's enough to keep him out. That ACL, we've seen it over years. I'm not a doctor. I did stay at a Ramada once, so I do know a thing or two about medical procedures. ACL injuries are very interesting because you don't know the further extent of the damage to the ACL. Yes, we hear there's an ACL damage. What did it do to the MCL? What did it do to the meniscus? What other? Because I think he said he's got a meniscus surgery coming up too. Did he not? With the Saquon Barkley injury, that meniscus is what keeps your bones from grinding each other in your knee joint. Mm-hmm. When you get that wear and tear from your meniscus being taken out, trust me, for someone who's had a lot of meniscus taken out of my knees, I've pretty much had zero cartilage in both my knees. You start to feel that. That's when arthritis starts to set in. That's when you get the Todd Gurley thing going on.
JJ.
So JJ, his was a little bit different. It wasn't much ACL. It was something more genetic involvement in his knees.
Okay.
But same principle. It's still the grinding of the knees. It's shortening your career. Christian McCaffrey injury to me does not have as long-term consequences of what Barkley's ACL may have at this point. So I'm going to take what I feel is the safer of the two injuries, regardless of the circumstances that you presented with us in the May of 2021 here. And I'm going to go with Christian McCaffrey. Chase?
Yeah, I think it's unanimous. It should be pretty simple, although he is, racking up the carries. Unless they go out, the Giants go out and sign a massive offensive line signings and draft a guy in the first round, which could happen because they just drafted Andrew Thomas, and Matthew Pert. I think that's how you say his name, right? Pert? How do you say his name?
He was an old Saint, wasn't he?
Wait, Pert? No. Pert was the rookie in the third round, I think.
Who changed my name?
Oh, you stop it, baby blue eyes.
Was it Pert or Pert or Pert? How do you say his name? Anyways, they drafted a guy in the third round as well. Matthew
I'm gonna
Pert.
cut all of you guys off. Are you so Christian McCaffrey unanimous? We got to get some more names here. So yes, Christian McCaffrey we're taking. How about Ezekiel Elliott? Ezekiel Elliott or Saquon Barkley?
Oh, Elliott over Barkley.
It just depends on the offensive line. I think they're going to improve it. They have to. Like, so if they improve it like they do, I might take Barkley over CMC because CMC has a shitty offensive line too, and they got so many different positions to improve. So it just depends on the offensive line for me. But as of right now, the way that it stands, I would probably go Zeke, CMC, and then Barkley. But I mean, you're talking 2021.
Okay.
So I'm not too worried about McCaffrey's injury. He's still going to be number one. Zeke would have it 2. Kamara, I'd probably put at 3. Barkley, I'd probably drop to 4 right now.
So hang on. So I'm saying ADP wise, Christian McCaffrey has a higher ADP.
Yeah, because we can do this all night. If Kellen Moore's taking snaps, then nobody wants anything to do with Zeke Elliott. All night. Yeah, I'll take
okay.
Zeke over.
Who has a higher ADP, Jonathan Taylor or Saquon Barkley?
Oh, that's Barkley for me.
But who has a higher ADP? I guess that is. I think almost certainly Jonathan Taylor.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I don't know. A, B,
That's
C,
a good
D.
question because I can really see if Jonathan Taylor comes off a big season, I think he could really shoot himself up the ADP in the eyes of the public here. And I can see him challenging in that top 6 running back numbers as far as ADP goes for Dynasty.
Whoa. I know I've been out of the loop, offensive loop for a minute. Are y'all really saying that Jonathan Taylor is going to be drafted questionably like before or after Saquon Barkley? For real? Are y'all being serious?
If they don't improve the offensive line
Yes.
and Saquon Barkley, if they don't improve the offensive line at all, I'm going Jonathan Taylor personally.
Just starting in Indianapolis. Like what?
Wait, what?
What? Like what do you like? What is what? Like there's many scenarios, but like Barkley, it's just injuries, right? Like that's the only thing we're talking about here. If it wasn't an injury, would this be?
No, I don't care about the injury. The injury doesn't matter. The injury doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think it does.
I'm with Calvin on this. I think the injury does matter because I think if we're talking like potential arthritis down the line, I think it could be a problem. Now, where I could see Jonathan Taylor, it's certainly challenging Barkley possibly falling behind Taylor because that line in Indianapolis that they've built is arguably the best offensive line in the entire in the National Football League right now. So it's one of those things that you have to take a look at here because I think when we're talking about offensive lines, if the Giants do not invest in that offensive line and Barkley's still coming off an ACL injury, which is going to take him a year and then some to kind of recover from, I think Taylor could definitely challenge for that higher ADP title than Barkley. You could see Taylor going top 5 running backs.
I think we almost certainly will. And I think he's the kind of guy that he's the kind of guy that's a lightning rod. Anything that he does is going to get played up and bumped up. And so I'm not really asking like where you would rank them, but in terms of the dynasty community, because Saquon Barkley was already getting bumped coming up this season based on his injuries last year. Now he's going to have 2 seasons in a row where he battled injuries. He's got an offensive coordinator who wants to pass the ball. Remember, Jason Garrett, if there's something you can knock about when he was a play caller, he did not have successful running games. His running games were never in the top tier. Now, that was all the way back in 2012, so certainly some things have changed. He wasn't calling plays when Ezekiel Elliott was there. That wasn't him. So, but I think there are now. He also didn't have a Saquon Barkley back then. That's why it gave you some hope. But again, people were fading him below Alvin Kamara, below Ezekiel Elliott, below some of these guys already in dynasty startup drafts because they were scared of him. Now you add on top of that this ACL. I think he's a back end of the first round, second round type guy in dynasty startups next year. And if I have a team that is competing, then I am almost certainly trading him for almost any other blue chip type player, or two of those really high end, second round, third round type guys. I think about a guy like J.K. Dobbins could challenge for that kind of a role next year if he's the only guy there in Baltimore. Miles Sanders, I think, has a really good chance of being drafted ahead of him next year. Josh Jacobs, I think, has a chance of being drafted ahead of him. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like, there's Alvin Kamara. I think there's a lot of running backs. What if Aaron Jones stays with the Packers and remains the top 5 running back this season, doing it 2 years in a row? There's a chance he is taken before Saquon Barkley. So I think if you're in a position right now and you're competing and you need somebody that's going to help you this season because the rest of the pieces are there, I am perfectly fine trading away Saquon Barkley for another one of those blue chip guys that you think are going to be in the top 15, 18 picks in startups next year, because I think the value of those players you acquire could be, if not close, could be even higher than what the value is of Barkley is in May 2021.
I definitely can see that as a possibility. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to jump up a lot. People are going to get on the new flavor of the week kind of thing too, as far as ADP is concerned. I already had Barkley on the way down at number 4, so it shouldn't really surprise me if he drops to number 6. It's definitely a possibility. The injuries are always going to add up. It's dynasty. He's coming into that new big contract. We know what happens with running backs when they get that new contract. You've only got a 4 to 8 year life cycle if you're lucky as a running back. So he's already kind of pushing that year 3, year 4, new contract coming up. We always preach about Jason Waltner. He's come on the show a few times. Once you've got that big payday, you want to get out. You'd rather trade the guy before he runs out of time than when he's starting to run out of time. And I think you see that all the time with the running back position. Dougie, you still with us?
Yep.
Got another one?
Yeah, I got some more. You wanted to go number 2?
That was only number 1?
Yeah, that was just, I wanted to talk. So Saquon Barkley, his value is a pretty big topic right now. I just wanted to go through. I think trying to figure out what to do with Saquon Barkley right now is an important question.
He's a buy for me.
I'm selling. All right. So number 2 is just kind of looking back at something that I wanted to track over the offseason when I was looking forward to this season, and see how many of these things would carry over. And week 2, we got a couple of data points now. There's some opportunity stats that are worth looking at. So the number 1 opportunity stat that jumped out at me: no one has run more plays in the NFL than the Cincinnati Bengals. That was true of they were top 5 last year with Andy Dalton. They've 155 plays this year, and also last year, even with everyone, with Andy Dalton and I forget the name of the guy they started last year, they were also the number 1 team in terms of 10-play drives. That's something that stuck out at me. They are also now this year for 2 weeks the number 1 in the NFL in 10-play drives. There's a lot of opportunity on that Bengals offense, and I think there's a really good opportunity for any of your Bengals to do really well with the amount of plays and pass attempts and everything that they're doing right now.
Do you think they can? So, do you think you can sustain that production that Cincinnati is going as far as play calling goes, based on last year's number and with the offensive talent that they have on their team right now?
I think it's something that Zach Taylor wants to do. Again, last year, top 5 in the NFL in plays run with Andy Dalton as their quarterback, and now they got Joe Burrow, and they're just. I kind of thought they might take a little while to throw a lot on him, and then in week 2, boom, they get 61 pass attempts for Joe Burrow. They're putting a lot on his plate and trusting him a lot. And I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for those pass catchers. And by the way, I think Joe Mixon is a guy that we might want to think about in the next couple of weeks buying. I underestimated how long it would take for Cincinnati's offensive line to gel. They had 2 really talented players that they added to it in this past offseason. And offensive lines are something that takes a little while for them to get the right communication, get all the right things clicking and working for them, all their calls, learning to work together as a unit. They have to work together as a unit more than any other unit on the field. And I underestimated how long that would take. I think that'll come along hopefully by mid-season. And I think Joe Mixon could have a good finish to his year, even though the first part has been tough.
So let's just kind of elaborate on that. We talk about, Chase, I know you're going to jump in on this one here. AJ Green, targets, sustainable or not, and can he bring in some of those targets going forward? I think that's going to be a big question there for the Bengals.
It wasn't AJ Green. Like, that was the biggest thing that I took away. I went back and actually watched most snaps. I missed out on 4 of them. I did miss out on 4. Unfortunately, I don't have Game Pass right now, but I'm going to end up getting it. So I missed out on 4 snaps, but out of 13 that he took, he had like 5 missed attempts, 3 that were overthrown, 1 that was thrown behind him, and 1 that was thrown, too short. Didn't obviously have the pass interference call and multiple other things, but they just weren't on the same page. And so as the season goes on, and as the veteran, learns how to work with the rookie and how this rookie syncs up, I think that we could see some significant uptick for AJ Green, to be honest with you. I like AJ Green going forward. I think you can buy him low right now. And it's not AJ Green's fault, by the way. I think he got credit for 1 drop, if that. And the one that I saw was where he reached out, they grabbed his right arm, and he had, he was getting pulled back. It was pass interference, and they never called it. So, yeah, I'm a huge AJ Green fan for the price. I wasn't during the draft. I wasn't during the season, but people were about ready to drop him, and I think that, you should at least make an offer towards him.
I think the one thing that we got to take into account here, and Dougie could probably shine a little bit more light on this here, when we're talking the Cincinnati Bengals, it's not just that can they sustain the amount of plays that they're running, it's their defense. If their defense is as bad as it's looked the first couple of weeks there, especially that front, and teams are scoring, you're talking about 30 points to the Browns, you're talking 30 points to who they played in week 1. Chargers. They're giving up 30 points per game, meaning Joe Burrow and company are playing from behind, meaning they're trying to get those passes in. They're trying to get that offense going. They're trying to go point for point with opposition. So last year, similar scenario, Bengals are playing catch up. They're getting to run those plays, and they do have a good core offense. Like, you're talking Tyler Boyd, AJ Green, Joe Mixon, Officer Thorny there, and Gio Bernard. They've got some offensive players around them. Officer Thorny, Super Troopers. Come on, follow on here, Chase.
You saw my face. Dougie, I'm glad that you actually stopped right there.
But a lot of people don't think of, when they think of their offensive rosters, they don't think about IDP, and that's the problem with a lot of fantasy football people. And Doug, I'm going to let you, if you wouldn't mind chiming in here, about how a weak defense actually means an offense is going to be running more plays because they're playing from behind.
Yeah, the opposing offense, because that defensive line, and a lot of it has to do with Geno Atkins in the middle. They got DJ Reader to complement Geno Atkins, Carlos Dunlap, Sam Hubbard, and athletic sideline guys like Jermaine Pratt in that linebacking core. But whenever you miss a piece like Atkins, who is not only a gap filler, but is also a gap filler plus a guy that can get a QB hurry, then you're missing a whole nother level of your defense. That means the secondary has a step or two less to make their move, and the wide receivers get a step or two open more often than they should because that pressure ain't there. And that's highly due to Geno Atkins, in my opinion.
Absolutely. The front end and the back end have to work hand in hand. If the front end isn't getting that pressure, the back end has to cover longer, which makes it much more difficult for your defense in general. And vice versa, your front end can have all the pressure they want, but if there's coverage on the back end, it's not going to make a difference. If you can't cover worth a lick and you're still getting pressure, you're still going to get completed passes. So the back end and the front end have to work together. And right now, Cincinnati has no ends working anywhere on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, there's a lot of areas in life where the back end and the front end working together is exactly what you want. And certainly that's true in fantasy football. So I also want to mention one thing. As you're saying, I think the amount of plays that you run is also about intent. I think there is something to a philosophy that some coaches have that guides how quickly they're going to get to the line, guides how quickly they're going to snap the ball, and vice versa. So a really good example of that is the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals have the second most plays run. But interestingly, it also jumped out to me that they have allowed the fifth least amount of plays against them. So there's an offensive philosophy there that the Cardinals are trying to get to the line. They're trying to run more plays, and they also have a good defense behind them that has taken teams and getting them off the field. So I 100% think you're right. You want to. There's a lot of examples like the Falcons are up there. They're number 5, and they're a good example of that. The Bengals, I think, are a good example of that. But there is an intention, and I do think Zach Taylor, his intention is he wants to lead the league in plays run, and that's going to be good things for that team for a long time. I think it also means good things for T. Higgins, by the way, who basically took over for John Ross this week. And it hasn't shown up 100% in all of his stats, but in his snap share and his targets, things like that, he basically took over John Ross, and that's step 1 for him. So T. Higgins could be somebody that we're looking at here in the next 2 weeks too.
What do you got for us for number 3? Oh, go ahead, Doug.
One thing I'd like to add, though, it is only 2 weeks of data. When a team like the Kansas City Chiefs can maintain the ball for 9 minutes and 56 seconds, almost the whole entire second quarter of the football game, but it is also considered the most potent offense in the league, then you have to be careful with time management because, in my opinion, I think most NFL teams would take time of possession over number of plays ran. So if you see a team kind of gravitating towards more controlling the clock and running the ball, then the number of plays is going to come down. And I think most NFL teams would gravitate towards time of possession.
And I think within the Bengals situation here, because they're always trailing and they're getting down multiple scores, they're trying to get as many plays run as possible to try and score as quickly as possible to try and get that ball back as quickly as possible.
So, in to Dougie's point, so then you're looking at the Green Bay Packers, you're looking at the Indianapolis Colts. Bengals are still top 10 there. So, they, like I said, they are number 1 in the NFL right now in 10-play drives. So they are sustaining that. And that's not that is a small sample. But the reason why the Bengals jumped out at me is, there's a lot of noise in the data right now, but it jumped out at me because it also jumped out at me last year under Zach Taylor, and is something that Zach Taylor wants to be and wants in his philosophy. So, I do think, and you're right. I think we should look at the Green Bay Packers and the Colts and the Buffalo Bills and the Chargers, and they're way up there on the time of possession as well. And I think that can say meaningful things too. And on the flip side, right now, I think the Vikings are on the complete other side of that. Vikings have run the least amount of plays. And when you think about the difference between, Bengals are at 155 plays, Vikings have run 96 through 2 weeks. That's a really difficult thing. And then the Browns are way up here as well. I mean, they're not throwing the ball. I mean, I think that is where some of our concerns about what Kevin Stefanski would do with that offense, that is, I think, some some of our concerns about how he would handle. He was going to run the ball. He wants to control the clock. He doesn't want to run a lot of plays, and not running a lot of plays for fantasy purposes is not enough. That's not. It means a fantasy players are not getting opportunities. They're not going to have a lot of targets. They're not going to get a lot of stats, and that's a bad thing.
What do you got for number 3 here?
That's it. That's 1, 2, and 3 right there.
That's all 1, 2, 3 all combined in one. So it's interesting. So we want to talk about contract situations and stuff. I want to kind of get into that too because I think that's very important to talk contracts. Chase, what's going on there, bud?
Honestly, I can't really hear. There's just so much feedback. I'm getting literally just repeats of stuff going on. I don't know if Dougie's headphones gave out, and now we're just hearing feedback from that onto his mic.
My headphones went dead about 30 minutes ago, and I forgot they were in my computer, so I'm only using my USB mic. So.
Yeah, we're hearing everything that is said again for a second time. So I can't really hear anything, to be honest.
So we're talking again here. I want to really touch on this ADP thing because I think it's important that we talk about that because, like I said, Jason Waltner, he popped into our chat room a little bit earlier. He's kind of our guru when it comes to salary cap in kind of some of our chat rooms and stuff, and he's a very smart guy there. And he's always preached about selling these running backs before those contracts come up. And I think that's a really important thing to remember when we're talking. Jonathan Taylor is ascending. Saquon Barkley is right where he is. And really, he's starting to lose that little bit of ground right now to some of these other guys. Kamara just got paid. So for argument's sake, Kamara is now a $75 man right now. And speaking of caps, right on cue. We got
my man Davis. What's up, buddy?
So it was funny. So Jason Walden hadn't even tuned into the show. He hadn't even tuned into the show yet. And all of a sudden I start throwing salary cap and talking Saquon Barkley and praising the man and his knowledge. And boom, he just shows up in the chat room just like that.
It was meant to be, man. It was meant to be. I just popped on. I hear Jason Waltner. I'm like, oh, crap, man. Look at this. Like, how much? Like, I was like, I got to get on. As soon as I heard that, I was like, I got to get on. And I got
Let's do this.
What's going on, fellas?
So I don't know if you caught the whole conversation there, but one of the things that Baby Blue Eyes up there in the corner was talking about is that whole Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor. Is Jonathan Taylor potentially going to be higher in ADP next year than Barkley? A, offensive line comes into it. B, the injury to the knee. C, his contract or his lack of contract at this point. And how you'd kind of preached in the past when you're looking at trading a guy, trading them while they still have that value rather than when they start losing that value.
Right.
And most often than not, that value starts to come, that value loss starts to kind of factor in when that new contract is about to come into play.
No, absolutely. Because, when guys get paid more money, we all know the saying, more money, more problems, right? So, expectation just becomes a lot higher. The production threshold just goes out the roof. If I were a Giants fan, I would like to see them look to extend Barkley probably now. Because then what they would do is they would take the guaranteed money and just spread it over 6 years as opposed to, either doing a 5-year deal or whatnot. So I would actually look to probably see that. And then, I know everyone loves the whole, me being a Cowboys fan and everything. Jason Garrett loves to just robustly feed running backs. So that's one good thing about Barkley. But now the question is, I know we all don't like to say the word injury prone, but he's had a little bit of history recently. Yeah,
man, these guys were out here saying that Jason Garrett doesn't like the running back, and I'm like, come on, dude. Like,
who said that?
These two, they were Julius Jones.
Come on, guys. Come on.
I got muted when I was about to go off. when I was about to go off. So thank you very much, my friend.
Taste on this, 100%. Garrett,
man, it pissed me off. Like I got muted right when it happened. I literally just stayed silent for about 15 minutes on the podcast because I got muted when I was about to bring up the fact of Marion Barber, Julius, or was it Felix Jones, Julius.
Felix.
Jones.
Yeah, whatever.
They're both Joneses.
Dude, like, oh my God. Jason Garrett loves his guys, but these guys get injured. He loves the running back position, but his running backs continuously get injured. That's why they re-signed Ezekiel to a massive contract. It had nothing to do with anything other than Jason Garrett, who loves the running back position.
Well, I mean, I might be a little bit in the, not the general census here, but I personally think Zeke was worth every single penny. Every single penny, because he does a lot of the things that not a lot of running backs do. He does. Watch the man block. He'll crack down on the defensive tackle, defensive end real quick. Yeah, and knock on wood, availability. Zeke gets the ball 400 times a year, and he doesn't miss a beat. And also, like when it comes to Zeke, if you look at all the big games when the lights are the brightest, Zeke shines the best. So, I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I know running backs are also dependent on their offensive line and everything like that. I get it. But I don't know. I just don't really think I'm not really into the whole system of running backs are highly replaceable. Yes, they are, but not guys like Zeke.
They are, but you have elite backs.
Right. You have extremely elite backs. It's a very, very small few. I mean, you can say because I'm a Cowboys fan, I personally think Zeke's the best running back in the league, hands down, because he does everything. And then he's up there. And then he'll take a negative 1 yard run and turn it into a 3 yard run, which doesn't look a lot in stats, but when you look at how he did it,
people notice.
Right.
The coaches notice. The coaches have the players back. Like it's not just based off of stats, and people don't realize that. Analytics are huge in football. Huge in football. However, the coaches have an input. Right? The coaches have a say in who gets re-signed for massive contracts. They have a say.
You hope so.
Like they point out certain facts. So like they run in the gyms as soon as they say, hey, we're not going to re-sign this guy or something like that. Dude, they run into the salary cap manager's office. They run to the GM's office. They're like, dude, fuck this guy that's watching analytics. This is what he does. And they show game film after game film after game film. And they make a case for their guys that they love. And Saquon Barkley is a guy that the Giants love. Not only is it draft capital, right? But it's also what he does in every aspect of this offense. Absolutely. And he's going to be involved no matter what. Now, I love Jonathan Taylor. And I probably like Jonathan Taylor it's very close. It's literally like they're rubbing elbows. A lot more than I like CEH, by the way. But yeah, it's going to be it's locked in that the Saquon Barkley is going to be a big piece of the Giants offense. And they're going to spend a lot of money on their offensive line. They're going to spend a lot of draft capital on their offensive line. They're going to rebuild this offensive line. Jason Garrett plus what's his name, the head coach over there. They're going to end up crushing the offensive line because that's what the Patriots did too.
Well, it's not even that. Actually, if you look at Garrett too, a lot of people don't realize Garrett, I guarantee, had a very big influence on them taking Andre Thomas this year. Because you know what he did? You know what the first thing Garrett did when he became a head coach? Guess who he drafted first? Tyron Smith. Go back and look at it. He took Tyron Smith, top 10 pick. And then after that, I know, right? Chase is loving it. And then if you look after that, they took Zach Martin. And also, if you look at Jason Garrett, where he played, when he played with Jimmy Johnson when we had the greatest offensive line, arguably in NFL history. And he saw what that did for Emmitt Smith and Troy Aikman firsthand. So
Thank you for revitalizing me, by the way. Thank you so much. Like
no problem.
I was sitting here to feel defeated. I got muted 4 times or 3 times,
no,
whatever.
It's all right. No, I mean, I just, you got muted again. Just looking at it. I don't know. They took Andre Thomas recently within the last 2 years. I think they took Hernandez, which I'll be honest, he was very high on the Cowboys radar as well. Solder, he didn't he opt out for the year? So he'll be back the year following. So I mean, yeah, it might not look
this guy. I like this guy a lot.
Yeah. It might not look very, and I hate to say this as a Cowboys fan, it might not look very good for Giants right now, but you'll have Solder back, you'll have Thomas there. Will Hernandez will have another year. And let's face facts, they'll probably have another top 10 pick. So they'll take another one of the, either trade back, and get some more draft capital to get a guard later on, or and not even that. Guess who else they took again in the first round? So not only did they take the Cowboys, Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, They also took Travis Frederick. You talk about 3 guys right there that were all taken within 5 years by the Dallas Cowboys in the first round. So you got Jason Garrett there, and then you got what was that? What is it, guys? See, look, what is the Giants coach's name? I know Chase said it too. Come on, someone knows it.
It's Judge.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mr. Judge.
How do
Like
I
you
keep
said,
forgetting
he
that?
comes from the Patriots, and they always have a very good offensive line. So, and Brady's probably really feeling that right now, being down there in Tampa. So, I agree with Chase 100%. Sorry, guys.
Well, and here's the thing. Garrett is a career backup quarterback. If there's anyone who values a good offensive line, it's a quarterback in that position.
So is Reich
That,
from the Indianapolis Colts.
Yep, same thing. End of the day, I don't care if we're in 1920 or if we're in 2020. The game is ultimately won in the trenches.
100% starts up front.
If you can't stop a pass rush, your quarterback's going in on his ass. There's that kind of that old saying: if you don't have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. You know what I mean? Right. If that starting quarterback goes down, and you throw a second quarterback in, your backup quarterback, and he can't produce, you don't have any quarterbacks. So that's where that offensive line comes in. That's where teams like Dallas have really addressed it. The Vegas Raiders, they've built most from via free agency, and don't discredit what Tom Cables has done there. He's actually made Colton Miller look like a viable left tackle. That's impressive.
Well, Cable, wasn't he also the offensive line coach in Seattle for a minute when they were a pretty
he was the head
good
coach for a little
offensive line
bit.
there? Yeah, so, I mean, look, man, proof's in the pudding. But
Thank you so much for backing me on this. That's why, like, the question for me, between Saquon Barkley and anybody else was kind of irrelevant. But it just depends on how they build.
But there's somebody that already has a really good, maybe the best offensive line in the league, and that's Jonathan Taylor. I mean, he doesn't need to hope that he.
No, he doesn't. The running offensive line is completely different from the running offensive line is completely different. It's a night and day difference from the pass blocking, and people misconstrue this constantly. Look at Marlon Mack's pass or run blocking efficiency last year. It was 62nd or like 54th. It was terrible. Their pass blocking is phenomenal. Meanwhile, the run blocking just wasn't there, and Jonathan Taylor's still creating yards, and he's catching passes.
That's probably the biggest thing for everything.
We have the Cowboys fan on here. Let me just tell you, pick this apart. Tell me exactly where I'm wrong. So we talked a lot about Ezekiel Elliott there with Jason Garrett, but unfortunately, Garrett never called plays with Ezekiel Elliott in the background. The last time he called plays was in 2012. He did it. That was the last 6 years.
Listen here. Don't let them fool you, and don't let them think that he wasn't in Kellen Moore's ear a lot during game prep, okay? Yeah. Let's not get that twisted. You saw Jason Garrett's fingerprints all over everything. And not even that, Kellen Moore also came from the Scott Linehan tree too. So, I mean, 2 of the most conservative play callers ever in the NFL.
I pro Ezekiel Elliott, but so here's opportunity is very important in fantasy football, and that is kind of what I am right now. This season, through 2 games, the Giants have the least amount of rushing attempts in the NFL. So, looking back at Jason Garrett as a play caller, only twice in his 6 years was he better than 21st in the NFL in rushing attempts, and he was the 17th and the 15th. So almost one time he was in the top half of the league in rushing attempts. And then we're talking about opportunity. We're talking about, like, we need that as a running back in order to produce. Now, the flip side of that is that's all the way back in 2012. I get it. That's a long time ago. And Saquon Barkley can produce in the passing game as well.
Can I tell you something real quick, though?
Yeah.
So why does it have to be when Jason Garrett's the play caller, but there's no impact when he's the head coach?
Whoa. Let's leave that aside. I got a different argument that's actually better. Let's just go ahead and let him talk.
Okay.
Well, one of the reasons, and a lot of this is starting to come up because just digging into opportunities and the Giants legitimately have the least amount of rushing plays in the league right now. Now, some of that might be because Saquon Barkley went out halfway through the game, but let's just say he stayed in there and they were 22nd in the league or something like that. That would be more in line with what he did as the guy who gets to pick what the plays are. Again, that's not saying he didn't build the team. Obviously, he was extremely influential in building the team, building the offense, things like that. But when it was him signaling the call in to the quarterback 6 straight years, he was in the top half of the league in rushing attempts one time. Obviously, the reduction wasn't there either. I mean, that's, you would expect that to follow. Mm-hmm. So, again, I'm a Saquon fan, but, you have to look at what opportunity he's going to have. And now, coming off of 2 injury plague seasons, and you're going to have a coach that, let's just say Daniel Jones has taken a step forward, which I believe he probably will. Mm-hmm. You get an offensive line around him. I mean, does that mean is Saquon Barkley going to be the guy who's going to will he be top 10 in the league in opportunities?
All right. All right, here we go. I want you to go ahead and look up the opportunity share for these players. How often did one player actually get over 250 carries and let's just say 50 receptions for the Cowboys while Jason Garrett was actually calling the plays? Because it's not there. It's very rare that somebody did get over 300 touches or 350 touches or 400 touches, which is what we could see from Saquon Barkley because of injuries. And that's that's the situation that you're looking at.
But then I'll just argue to that point, when Garrett was calling the plays, he never kind of really had a Zeke kind of talent back there. Or, I mean, even you can say, Marco Murray. I mean,
guys, it really doesn't matter at this point because I'm pretty sure everybody's tired of this conversation, and Matt's gonna have a lot of editing to do. That's why I said let's just end it on this. Sure. Hey, how often they have a bell cow
editing? You think I'm gonna edit?
Hey, I need to ask you something.
My God.
So I heard you guys talking about the Bengals. What's up with my boy Bates, man? He's been killing me these past 2 weeks.
Our safety there, Jesse Bates.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I had high hopes for him coming to the season there. I thought him and Von Bell would have been good compliments in there, knowing how inexperienced that linebacking core was going to be. It made a lot of sense that safeties are excellent tackles. Jesse Bates is the kind of guy who will match up with tight ends and shut them down. He did a fairly decent job in coverage on Hunter Henry in week 1. So you definitely knew he was around. He's flying around the ball. It's just the numbers aren't adding up. And unfortunately, I got a few guys like that on my rosters right now that I believe in, and they're just not producing right now, but I got to keep rolling them out there because the talent ultimately wins out when it's all said and done. So I got to slug it away with you there with Jesse Bates.
I was wondering if they're putting him in coverage more. It sounds like they are.
Yeah, that sounds like he seems to be the guy to match up with tight ends right now, as far as from what I can see. One thing I want to talk about here is, while I've got you here, we've seen a lot of running backs getting paid in the last little while. We've watched McCaffrey get his big deal. We watched Cook and Kamara basically get signed hours apart from each other. Derrick Henry got paid. A lot of these running backs we thought might have been on the move in the offseason or some kind of ramifications come the offseason. We haven't seen Aaron Jones get his yet. He's probably the next one to get that money if the Packers decide to invest it. When we're talking Kamara, what's your thoughts and your outlook if you are a owner of or manager of, I guess is a better way to put it, a manager of Kamara, a manager of Cook, and a manager of Aaron Jones?
See, with Kamara, usually what I look for is that they extend the guy. They don't wait for his contract to run out. Because usually teams, if they want someone, they'll sign them. So for guys like Aaron Jones, the fact that they're kind of letting his deal run out, that would put some concern on for me. It's just that they probably think they have it. And I mean, didn't they just draft someone this past year? And McFarland, wasn't it? Was it? Am I right? Yeah, Dylan. Yeah, that's right. And then, I could see what Williams. I don't know if his contract runs out this year too, but I could check that out. But I mean, those are things that I would be concerned about. So like a guy like Aaron Jones. But as far as like Kamara is concerned, they just extended him. All the guys. I mean, Dalvin Cook got his deal, but I'm not a big fan of it at all. The way that the deal works, I don't like the structure of it. It's not really front loaded like you really like to see running backs, where a lot of the guaranteed money is eaten up within the first 2 years, so that they can move on from him rather easily. I mean, I'm looking at his contract right now. 2023 is probably the first year where they can honestly look at doing it. They'll save about $8 million, but they'll still eat $6 million of it. So, I mean, yeah, you open up 8, but you're eating 6 still. So that's really my take on that. So, like a Kamara, I'm fine with him, especially if they go with, they're going to have a new quarterback soon I don't know how you guys feel about Breeze, but it's not looking very good for him. As much as I love Drew Brees, who doesn't, right? And it sucks to see. But Kamara, when they get a new quarterback, he'll be his best friend. So whether it's going to be Taysom Hill or if they go and draft somebody, which I don't know. What do you guys think about Taysom Hill? I'm not a big Taysom Hill guy.
I think he's behind Jameis Winston on the depth chart.
Right? I mean, that's always my point. If they liked him so much, they wouldn't go and sign the Teddy Bridgewaters of the world or the Jameis Winstons of the world. They would just let him be the backup. But they keep bringing other guys to be the number 2 ahead of him. So, but yeah, I think Alvin Kamara I'm not worried about him at all. Like I said, next quarterback he'll be his best friend. Him and MT.
Hey, Jason, you're the contract guy. So actually, it's Taysom Hill's contract that makes me think that Taysom Hill is going to get a chance next year. And I'm here in New Orleans. I am a Saints fan. And it's Jameis Winston, I think, is brought in to be the backup quarterback. I think until Drew Brees moves on, my sense is that Taysom Hill is going to continue to play the Taysom Hill role. So if for instance, last year when Teddy Bridgewater came in, they still wanted to have that role in the offense. Now, in the offseason, they drafted a guy, Tommy Stevens, that could take over for Taysom Hill in that quote-unquote Taysom Hill role. And the main reason why I think Taysom Hill could get a shot is because look at who's the most successful quarterbacks in the NFL right now. You got a lot of guys who can use their legs, and it's not necessarily guys who are known for their accuracy. So, you've got the Josh Allens, you've got the Lamar Jacksons. I mean, those guys are getting opportunities without necessarily having this pedigree of they have a lot of super accurate quarterbacks, and these guys like Bill Belichick, they want that toy and bring in a guy like Cam Newton. Doug Peterson brings in a guy like Jalen Hurts and drafts him in the second round because he wants that kind of a toy to play with it at some point. So I think Sean Payton is kind of biding his time here. He knows Drew Brees is a legend. If Drew Brees wants to come back, he's going to. I was hoping last year was it because I thought he was done. This year is sort of showing that he really is done. And I'm getting like 2015 Peyton Manning vibes, where that last year that's kind of what he was reminding me of now. But it'll be really interesting. A lot of things can change, and who knows what's going to happen. But I sort of feel like the plan, looking at the contracts, at least tells me they want Taysom Hill around for a while, and they could give him. He's got a lot of guaranteed money next year that looks a lot more like a quarterback than a gadget player.
Yeah, but then why do you keep bringing in other guys? Why, if Breeze goes down or you know what I mean? Like, then why not let him just take over to see what you're going to have? You know what I mean? Like, why wait until next year when Breeze retires to see what you would have as a full offense with him? You know what I mean? I mean, that's just the only question I ask, just from that perspective. I
think my thought here.
He does in the offense. I think it's harder to place his role, like not on the offense, but on the whole team. I just think he's responsible for, like, you would need, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 guys on the roster to do the different things that he can do. And I just think that they don't want to rearrange everything. It's going to take some shuffling of the roster in order to allow him to go be a quarterback. And I think once Drew Brees goes, that's kind of what I think could happen. Again, like Jameis Winston could blow him away, or somebody in the draft could blow him away. But
here's my
guys,
take.
hey, I got a family issue. I have a family issue. I got to hop out of here. Sorry, I don't know if you've been seeing, but I got a family issue. I got to hop out. I'm sorry.
All right, man. Hope everything's okay.
Yeah, no, everything's good. I got to make sure got to make sure everything's all right. That's all.
All right, man.
I appreciate you guys having me in. Thank you so much. This is one of my favorite podcasts of all time. Love you guys. Seriously. Like, love you guys. Love you guys. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
Chase. Be easy, man.
So here's my take on Taysom Hill's contract. You can put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. You can cover a turd in gold, it's still a turd. You can give Taysom Hill guaranteed money, he's still Taysom Hill. Okay?
He only has
He
1
is
year
what he
left.
is.
He only has 1 year left after this. So I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. It's just like I said, wouldn't you want to see some aspect of the offense with him completely running it? You know what I mean? If that's going to be your guy. And I understand the whole point what you're saying, like he does way more things and all this other stuff. But I mean, and you know, I guess that's the good thing about him, that if it doesn't work out as him as a quarterback, you have a bunch of other places you can have it, you can put him. So maybe, I don't know, maybe that's their plan, but it's just, if he's supposed to be the future, when you want a glimpse.
I would think so.
So as a fan of the team, yes. And as a fan of the team, I don't know that I want Taysom Hill as the quarterback next year. I would rather have, like, you know, Dave here from Toronto is saying he would rather have Jameis get a shot. I wish Jameis would get a shot right now. I would like to see him as the quarterback, no doubt. So, but I think as a fan and as what I'm trying to figure out what they're doing with, you know, the way they're building the team and different things like that, it's more just a hunch that I kind of think Sean Payton would like to have a guy, you know, he's had Drew Brees, who was completely immobile for years. I sort of think he wants to, you know, he sees the Cam Newtons and what now Belichick is able to do with Cam Newton. He's been seeing Lamar Jackson. He's been seeing with these guys who can get out and get mobile. He's a creative offensive guy that could look at the challenge and say, like, hey, I've been in New Orleans for 16 years, 15 years. I kind of like a challenge here. And, you know, he talks about Taysom Hill and literally calls him the next Steve Young every time he talks about him. So he just continues to praise him. And if you really think a guy is Steve Young, then he needs to play. He needs to be the quarterback.
Right. I mean, the Niners got rid of Montana, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
The Bucks got rid of Steve Young, right?
they sure did.
Didn't work out for him, but
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, what if Cam Newton were to go to New Orleans next year?
Yeah. Saints fans would freak out. They wouldn't like that. But
Especially hating him for, what, 10 years?
yeah. And for whatever reason, the Saints hate the Patriots too. So it's like now double. He's got the Panthers and Patriots stink on him now. So they'd hate him around here.
No, yeah. No, I mean, it'll be interesting to see.
I want to try and wrap this up. We're at 2 hours right now, but I want Jason to take a look into his crystal ball here on contracts that are coming up. And who are those 2 or 3 guys that you're trading away right now?
Wow, you put me on the spot there. Well, one guy we talked about him is Aaron Jones. Like I said, I'm just extremely unsure about his future in Green Bay. Hopefully you would hope that he gets, you know, a starting gig somewhere where he could be successful, but you just don't know that. I mean, he wasn't that great, but Devontae Freeman, I mean, I didn't think it would take him this long to find a job. You know what I mean? You know, whether you think he's great or not, I didn't think it'd take him this long to find a job. So Aaron Jones would be one guy. I don't know, man. I really didn't get a chance to look into that. I'm sorry.
No, Kenyon Drake. See on that? You hanging on to him, or are you getting rid of him?
I would probably look to move him now too as well, because the way that their offense is, it seems like they just more need an athletic kind of guy. And it seems like their offense, they could probably have more of a plug and play kind of person. You know what I mean? Like one guy I have on my roster, I don't know if anyone else, I have Eno Benjamin just for that reason, because Drake's going to be gone soon. Edmonds is going to be gone soon. So you see whether maybe they're just prepping Eno Benjamin to take that role. Even though he's not that great. What's his name? Who's his coach at ASU? Herm Edwards. Yeah, he spoke really highly of him, thinking that he could do things in the NFL, being he was an NFL coach. I mean, of course, why would he speak badly about him? But, you just take that for what it's worth. But, like you said, he's a guy I have on my roster. Just stash him away, just see what happens in that backfield as well.
What about Austin Eckler? Or is that a guy? I know he signed that extension, but there's a lot of talk about what it could be. Another guy, Josh Kelly, is Eckler a guy you're?
Well, was Eckler? See, the reason why I wouldn't really be too concerned with him is because what he doesn't make up for in carries and yards, he makes up for. Everyone does PPR now, so he'll make it up on that perspective. Where even if he gets 5 catches for 60 yards, that's 11 points right there. So you know what I mean. So he can easily be a guy you can play from a week to week, even in a flex spot. Where like I said, I just said 5 for 60, which is nothing for him, and that's not including touchdowns, it's not including his rushes or anything like that. So I do see him where we'll never really know his maximum potential because we'll always have someone else there. But he's definitely someone that I wouldn't really be too concerned about at this point, especially with Herbert being there. Between him and Hunter Henry, with younger quarterbacks, they really like tight ends and guys coming out of the backfield more. So that's also a plus for him. So I wouldn't really be too concerned with him right now.
No, so I'm going to wrap this up here. Jason, you just want to tell everyone, hopefully everyone knows who Calvin and I are because, we're here every week. But if you want to just kind of give a little shout out about what you're doing and where to find you there.
Sure. You can find me on Twitter at Mr. J. Waltner, DFF J. Waltner. That's my handle. And then same thing on Instagram. I am the director of public relations for Dynasty Football Factory, and soon to be picking back up Capology 101 podcast. It's on a small hiatus there, but be picking it up and have a special co-host for everyone to jump on with stats guy. So that's what we like to do. We like to marry the money with stats to give you guys better insight. So
cool.
That's where you can find me.
Definitely looking forward to it. If you're joining us late, Oklahoma Dougie there, he joined us here too. So you can check him out at Oklahoma Doug. Make sure you go give him a follow and check out forget all your IDP information from him. For Calvin and myself, this is the ViperCast episode 19. And we are out of here.